Right, back on with the action. If you haven't already, please do catch up with all our previous episodes. There's now 7 full episodes available to kick back and enjoy with a coffee or a beer on our YouTube channel. YouTube channel itself is free to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. All that means is that you will be notified when we upload fresh content. And for YouTube and for our social media output, please get into the default habit of just liking and commenting and sharing, and try and get some of your Speedway friends and family interested in 360 Speedway. We want to try and grow the 360 family. Right, back on with the action. So next up, Fans Pulse Lap 2, and we are maintaining our spotlight on clubs within British Speedway. We covered off Pool Pirates last week. This week we're going further north, up to the northeast, and we're going to have a little bit of a spotlight on Redcar Bears. Officially not the oldest club side in British Speedway, because at their current home, the Echo Arena, the Bears were born only 20 years ago, 2006, and of course that was a resurrection after a decade of the Middlesbrough Tigers, who did operate in the Cleveland Park Stadium, the famous old stadium, since they were founded in 1929. So there's always been a hotbed of Speedway in the northeast, in the Middlesbrough / Redcar on Teesside, and instantly it conjures up memories of many good riders and many occasions. Gents, before we talk too much about former riders and maybe recall some events from Cleveland Park or from the Echo Arena, just the mere mention of Middlesbrough / Redcar, what does that conjure up for you? Nigel, let's bring you in first of all.
I mean, Redcar, I can't comment on that really. I mean, Stuart's the man for that, isn't he? He'll know all about Redcar, I would imagine. I've only ever been once. It wasn't about in my day. It was at Cleveland Park. But I have to say, the supporters up there, they're so such cracking people. I really enjoyed going to Middlesbrough when it was at Cleveland Park. I used to get an hard time when I went with Glasgow often, but then I guested for them a few times, and you sort of won them back over again. Then when you went back with Glasgow, they hated you. It was real good, a real good lot of people up there at Middlesbrough. I really enjoyed my times going to Cleveland Park, and what made it better is I like that track as well. A bit of a small one, tightish one. I liked it, so it suited me, and the people there were fabulous supporters. Very patriotic towards Middlesbrough. I say I guested for them quite a few times in, I think, my last 2 years. I did quite a bit of guesting for them. And the promotion were always, I think, first time it was like Tim Swales, wasn't it? It was smashing fella Tim. Then I think, I don't know, I forget what they call it. Malcolm, I forget his name now. Who was it, Stuart?
I think it was Malcolm Wright, wasn't it?
Malcolm Wright, that's right. He was a really nice fella. And then, other people associated with it. One who's just died, who we should remember. Terrific fella, I thought. Always had time for a chat and a laugh and a story to tell you. Tony Copeland. Sad day that was when Tony died, I'm sure, for Middlesbrough. But yeah, I can't comment on Redcar. I don't know, but I'm sure it's still got a lot of the same people going there, I would imagine. And it seems to be a success, doesn't it? A good racing track, and more of a modern track, isn't it? I think by what I read, I see, more of a track for the laydowns than what Cleveland Park would have been, I would imagine. Stuart will put us all right on that one.
We'll bring you in, Stuart, but just before, it's interesting, Nigel, that you highlighted the supporters, because I'm thinking back to the mid-80s. I can remember some clashes between Glasgow and Middlesbrough, as they were at the time, and they always brought some really noisy, vociferous, fun-loving, song-singing supporters. And even to this day, I've seen quite a strong travelling support representing Redcar, and they have this enormous flag that's got Redcar Bears on. I mean enormous, like you could put 100 people under it, and they're good fun and they're friendly, and they love their speedway. Stuart Robson, you will have experienced all of this firsthand in more recent times.
Yes, I have. I was fortunate enough to be a part of the Redcar team a couple of times. Didn't have the most successful time there, but yeah, I still enjoyed my time there. Like Nigel just said, the fans there were good. They were good fans, and the promotion were always good. It was in the track. I love the new track. It's great, and the problem with that new track is so does everyone else. Everyone loves it. It's a really nice track to ride, so it becomes quite difficult to score points on because everyone races their game when they go there.
Carol, you'll have been to Redcar, obviously on official duty, but it often occurs to me that, Redcar, the setup they've got, the stadium where it's situated, how they've used it, the track that they've created there, the facilities that they build, and just the kind of the general sense of that club is the model for clubs. So Peterborough and some other clubs are obviously sourcing new venues for the future, and something, if you could emulate something like Redcar, that wouldn't be a bad way to rejoin the Speedway world, Carol.
Yeah, I think we've had good times at Redcar with the team. I think when I was obviously team manager at Peterborough, I think we only got beat once at Redcar, so it's always a good hunting ground for us. And obviously we won the fours there in 2018, which was even better. But yeah, it's a fantastic little place, and I think the way everything's set out, the shape of the track, the banking, I think it's just an awesome little track. And obviously we're looking at the minute for new tracks, new ground. We're looking to base it around Peterborough, but like I've said to the consortium, we're never ever going to build the same track because it would never ever be the same. So I think we'd have to. I think I would go along the lines of the original Mildenhall track. Before they put the greyhound track around the outside, the original Mildenhall track I thought was absolutely fantastic, and if we had something new, we'd like to base it around that sort of size and shape, which I thought the racing there was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. It's everything about it. There's plentiful parking. Where it's located is kind of out of town, semi-industrial. They've got a good sort of social scene on the go there, and the Bears fans always seem pretty buoyant and super supportive of their riders and their club. Stuart, something you said kind of resonated with me because, again, just by observation, but year on year, and I'm talking about the last 5-6 seasons, the Redcar promotion, to their credit, have always pieced together a real standout, a real super looking side on paper. But for some reason, when push comes to shove, I know they've had some success in pairs and different things, which is always nice. But when it comes to reaching playoffs or going far or going deep into the playoffs, for some reason they've always just come up a bit short. And I don't know how much of that is attributable to the very point that you made, that that they don't have a significant home advantage, do they?
Not like they used to at Cleveland Park. It's the track, like Nigel said, it's quite a modern track, and it's a very fast track, and people like going there to ride it. Like Carl just said, Peterborough won pretty much every visit they went up there, so it is quite good as an away rider. I used to go there with Newcastle as a away rider. We won there quite a few times as well. I used to love going. And like I say, I think other people did do the same, and it really does take the home advantage away from you.
Yeah. No, as I say, it's a real kind of hotbed and a traditional speedway, supporting part of the country. Just looking back at that, and again, Redcar Bears fans, please forgive us because it's difficult to encapsulate everything that we might want to within 10 or 15 minutes. But when you look back generally to the back through the decades is what I'm trying to say. Middlesbrough, I think, largely, certainly in my speedway going lifetime, have always operated in the sort of second division level. And I'm just thinking back, Nigel, to some of the riders, some of your contemporaries who I remember very well. So Eric Bucock, Martin Dixon, Steve Wilcock. There was Banger, Paul Bentley, Daz Sumner, Mark Courtney, who gets a few mentions on 360 Speedway, Mark Fiora, Jeff Pusey, and Steve Regeling to name, but some in the sort of 70s, 80s, 90s era. Any standout memories, Nigel, of any of those individuals?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the only thing, what I do know, when you went to Middlesbrough, when Middlesbrough were on Songlight, when you'd got like Dicko, as you say, Paul Bentley, Mark Crang, you knew you were in for a tough night. Because them lads, let me tell you, they were hard lads. They were real good lads, great lads, but hard as nails. And they weren't frightened to give you the shove, or even a bit more than that sometimes maybe. But great lads, and I always got on well with them all. And I can tell you, you'll remember this, Derek. I think I guessed it at Cleveland Park for Middlesbrough against Long Eaton late on in the season, and I think if Middlesbrough beat Long Eaton, Glasgow won the league. Can you remember that?
That rings a slight bell with me, Nigel. Yeah,
I think that's why I got the guest booking, because it was in my interest to do okay. Because then if Middlesbrough beat Long Eaton, Glasgow won the league. Yeah. So things like that, and it was just, I always enjoyed going there, even though you knew, you was going to have a Duncan Chapman. He was another one. Maybe not a massive scorer, Duncan, but he'd put himself about. Mark Fiora, another one. Felix, good lad, but hard as nails. Felix was, and you'd to be like that with them. And there was never any complaints really. If you dished a bit out, they took it and they give it you back later on. All good lads from up that way, and all local lads. Yes. And I don't know if I've said this before. I do believe this is where Speedway's maybe going wrong to a degree. We're talking to Middlesbrough, talking to Robbo and his brother Scott, Stuart, Scott, Martin Dixon, Paul Bentley, Mark Crang. Where are they all from? In and around Middlesbrough. Yeah. In and around Middlesbrough, with all the foreigners coming over today, no local lads they're going about the town and everything, where they see people and talk to the mates and everything. Maybe, I don't know.
It's a great point, Nigel, and I think in terms of trying to sell the sport to your local population, there's nothing better than having a local lad or a local hero that supporters can see grow and develop as a rider in your hometown club. It's a nice thing to see. Glasgow had that with James Greaves and Stuart McDonald once upon a time, but it's been a long time since I've seen that. One rider, of course, that we haven't mentioned at all, and we very remiss not to, so I'll correct it now, is Harvey. Gary Havelock was obviously a local lad, born and bred. Yeah, and
world champion.
Yeah, absolutely.
World champion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Middlesbrough's littered with them, isn't it? Littered with them. Yeah. And all lads that's rode there, and that's maybe why it was successful. And unfortunately, it got shut down, didn't it, by the college? Was it university? Stuart will know more about that.
Yeah, it sounds about right. They've got football pitches there now, 5-a-side football pitches.
So I believe Stuart. So, but great lads up there, great people. Everything was first class about it. No problem at all with me there.
Carol, just on that point that Nigel made, Nigel rhymed off a lot of riders, very good riders who were born and bred in that neck of the woods. I mean, how much of a benefit would it be, promotionally speaking, Carol, to have a handful of riders who are born and bred in and around Peterborough?
Oh, massive. Obviously, we had some really good local riders. With obviously the Clarks and obviously Ian Barney. He was local, and they draw a crowd. And we looked at even with the mascots for us. If we had one or two mascots, they had to be local, because they would draw probably 100 people on a night, on a race night. That 100 people is 100 people more than we want to have. Yeah. Just purely because we give them a mascot. So we obviously looked at that, and it is a massive benefit to have somebody local, 100%.
So there you are, Redcar fans. A whistle stop tour and a bit of a focus on your club, and I know you are absolutely behind the class of 25, Charles Wright and Eric Riss and Danny King and all the other guys who are fighting the fight and leading the charge for the Bears in the championship this season, and you've already got some silverware. in the form of the pairs back in April time, I think it was. And who knows, maybe this will yet be the year of the bear. So Redcar fans, I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of a spotlight on your club. Please drop us a line, share some of your memories of some of the things that Nigel and Carol and Stuart have picked up on, or some of those names from the past. Right, time to dive into some of your messages submitted this week. Thanks again to everyone who's taken some time out to submit some questions and or comments via social media or via our WhatsApp or even YouTube. First up this week is Ruth L from the West Midlands. Hi Ruth. And Ruth says, me and my mates are resigned to having to make the most of what we have left this season. Realistically, Wolves, Coventry, Cradley and Birmingham clubs need to get together and find a new home. That could very well be the answer. I heard Nigel Tolley, Ruth, during the weekend interview talking about exactly that, the sort of demise of Speedway in the West Midlands in particular. And who's to say that maybe therein lies the answer? Maybe a shared venue operated by multiple clubs, or a venue that might be able to harness and bring together the nucleus of all of those clubs. So listen, best wishes, as we've said many times already on 360 Speedway, to you at Birmingham and to supporters of those other clubs, Wolverhampton, Coventry, Cradley. It would be excellent to think that one or two at least of those clubs could be resurrected in short term. Good luck, Ruth, and thanks for taking time to message. Jackson from Bicester. Good evening, Jackson. I'm really enjoying watching the Chargers this season. Raw young talent, learning their craft and showing real improvement week on week. Oxford and British Speedway will benefit. Yeah, interesting. The whole setup at Oxford is fascinating. Operating 3 clubs at 3 different levels. You Oxford fans are absolutely spoiled for choice. I'm not sure what the construct and the mix of support is across the 3 different leagues, but Jackson, you're clearly enjoying what you're seeing served up by the Chargers and some good young up and coming riders. Jody Scott, Master Summers is in there, and some others as well. And to your point, yeah, and it backs up what we said a few episodes ago. There's a good, ripe and rich conveyor belt of young Speedway talent coming through the British Speedway conveyor belt. So thank you, Jackson. Next up, Kevin Chappell from YouTube. And Kevin writes, hi, there have been some barren years with pool as well, the late 70s, etc. Short and sweet, Kevin, but I think that was in response to the feature that we did on last week's episode about pool speedway. And I, in particular, was suggesting that you pool fans have been spoiled over the years, given the success decade by decade and all the tremendous riders that you've been able to enjoy firsthand. But Kevin, you make the point, there has been some barren spells within those decades as well, and few and far between, Kevin. That was my point. But thanks for taking time to write in, Kevin. And finally, for now, Mark G from Ilford. Good evening, Mark. Mark G writes, we're just back from a great GP trip to Prague. I'm afraid that again the city makes up for the racing. There are many better tracks even in the Czech Republic. I've been to the Markéta a couple of times. First and foremost, visiting the beautiful city of Prague, and it absolutely is beautiful. It is a real pleasure. But I agree with you, Mark. Reluctantly, I agree with you that year on year, I think some exceptional racing or exceptional Grand Prix at the Markéta are few and far between. It's certainly not a venue that you can reliably look forward to some real pulsating top Grand Prix action. But I've got no particular objections to keeping the Markéta on the GP circuit. But you make a point. Pardubice is a venue in particular which would make for a fascinating Grand Prix, I think. Let's see what happens in future years. But Markéta keep paying the money and stumping up the cash to host the GP, and good luck to them for doing that. But glad you enjoyed your trip, Mark. Hopefully it doesn't put you off making a return to Prague next year.